emergency in school. We currently, am I right in saying we still have no schools that have actually declared a climate emergency in Leicester? Is that right?
Next week there may be a group of 4 schools declaring, depending on how quick I get organised. But yes, none yet.
Okay. So hopefully we're going to get some more, and if you're listening in and and you're wanting to declare a climate emergency, I'll just take us through this. So there's a website there, schools.leicester.gov.uk/climate emergency, where there's lots more information about it, as well as templates for action plans and that sort of thing. Could you just move me on to the next slide, Lee?
Yeah.
Thank you. I won't spend too long on this because we've talked about this a lot tonight, but just if you are listening and haven't heard anything we've talked about earlier on, so what does declaring a climate emergency mean? Well, Leicester City Council declared a climate emergency last year in February, and it's an acknowledgement that climate change is happening at a rapid pace. It's caused by people, and it's threatening the well-being of people here in Leicester, but also around the world. And also it's an acknowledgement that the speed and the scale of action needs to be dramatically increased if we're going to keep below that 2 or that 1.5 degrees target from the Paris Agreement. And in its declaration, the council committed to developing a new action plan to address the emergency through our own services and projects, and that includes getting schools to declare a climate emergency. Next slide, please. So if you are looking at, and hopefully you are looking at declaring a climate emergency in your school, what do you need to do? First of all, discuss your plans with students and staff to get engagement around the school. Select some actions which you plan to achieve, which are manageable, but also it's not just about turning off some light switches. We are in a climate emergency. It needs to be more drastic than that. Make sure that actions have a duration, make sure people are responsible and that they're evaluated. Take your action plan to your trustees or your governing body and ensure that you've got their support as well. You can support your action plan to the City Council. We can support you with that as well in the environmental education team, and then start it and review it regularly and check and maintain your progress. Next slide, please. There's on the website which I shared with you before, which is at the bottom, there are some templates available for action plans and what you're doing to declare a climate emergency. We've got the Let's Go Zero 2030, which Richard talked about earlier on there as well. We can move on, please. I've just put a couple of potential actions for your school on. I've got lots of information around different topics. I am aware I'm going over, so I won't go through all of these now, but just sort of there's lots, and these are just some examples under different categories. So for example, under the category curriculum, you can identify and develop opportunities to learn about climate change across all subject areas, not just in traditional sort of science and geography and that sort of thing. Participation, so for example, set up a climate committee if you don't already have one, which could be the existing Eco Schools committee or could be an entirely different one, to identify what your school can do. And if we just pick one more under food, we talked about the meat-free Mondays, which we are doing as part of our Climate Action Fortnight last Monday and this Monday, but that can be sort of continued throughout the year. I think we'll move on, Lee, to the next slide if that's okay. I'm aware of time. And well, this is just to keeping in touch. So if you're interested in any of this or want more information, keep in touch via our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and our website there with schools.leicester.gov.uk/ecoschools, which also has a link to the climate emergency page. And if you're want any help with anything, there's our email address as well. And I'll stop there. We're 3 minutes over.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mark. Any questions from anyone? Mel, yeah, or Steve.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea of getting the school to declare a climate emergency. In our school, we're already an eco school. We've got the green flag and everything. What is there that we could do that's in addition to what's already on the eco schools thing? Because obviously it involves a little bit of work. What would you see as going further than what they're already expected on the eco schools to get the green award?
Yeah. I suppose from my perspective, what I'm going to be writing for the Attenborough Learning Trust, so I'm the chair of the trust there, so it's having the buy-in from your trustees or governors, I guess, as one that it might be, and I don't think it is for Overdale, but it might be in some schools that you've got an amazing eco team that do loads of great stuff, but actually it's not a priority strategically with the head teacher and the governors. So partly it's about raising the profile, and the Let's Go Zero 2030, to sign up for that, it has to be a governor or a trustee that signs up for that, and they sort of interlink. So I guess first is kind of raising the profile if your school isn't already, so that the commitment is by the trustees or the governors to say we fully support going for 2030, and I guess one of the actions is that the eco team is leading on some of those things. I suppose what it is, it's having commitments in there that you would have long-term commitments around the school being renewable energy, fully renewable, creating opportunities to install solar panels. I suppose it's around kind of those ambitions that make your school zero carbon by 2030, I guess. So that your group of students that you're eco team now, that will have moved on in 5 years, it's kind of that long-term plan. So the one that I'm going to write for our trust is around kind of basic principles around ensuring that we are fully renewable energy, because we are on 2 of the schools, but not all 4 at the moment. So when the contracts come up, that as a governor, as a trustee, I will be asking those questions to say, has that happened? And if not, why not? It's around renewable energy opportunities. So on an annual basis, I'll be asking a question of, we haven't put them in yet, why not? When will be the next opportunity that we will be able to put them on the roofs? So I suppose for me, it's around the big picture stuff, of which the eco teams need to be part of, but it's kind of that bigger buy-in, I guess.
Okay, so if I take this to the trustees, I guess one of their questions they're going to ask is, what support do they get, or why, apart from supporting the idea, what actually, what benefit is it going to be for them, basically? That's what they're going to ask, and they're going to ask what support that they're going to be given for it from the council.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, so the Attenborough Trust schools are commissioning us as a council to look at how we can support them with renewable energies through the Public Sector Decarbonisation Fund, for example. So there's an ambition there that the trustees expect that our executive team will go out and do this piece of work, so that funding's available to do these things, and that kind of stuff, I guess. Certainly with the city schools, we can support you. If you came to us from Overdale Infant St Juniors and said, we've declared a climate emergency, how can you help us further? We would support you to look at what opportunities were out there for the big carbon savings, I guess. And we're looking at trying to support county schools in a similar way, which may be more of a sort of a traded service, but it is something we're looking at doing more of as we go forward.
Right, because we're now an academy, part of an academy.
Mm-hmm.
Would you still offer support as the city council to an academy?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so in terms of the environmental education offer and the support around making the school sustainable, absolutely, yeah. If it was down to I'm trying to think how to describe it, but basically like the corporate type stuff, possibly not as a free service, but we will be able to support you in other ways, absolutely. It's just about working out what that might be, I guess. Okay. Richard, did you have a question? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I've done that again. You're really looking to see that the school brings it as an ethos within the school. That's what you're looking, that it's one of the main pillars that school is built upon. and you're looking to have sustainability discussed, at an SLT level in governor meetings. So you'd have a governor that is responsible for making sure this agenda is pushed through, and that you're involving the students all the way along that. And a Brave school would be one, and I do know some that who have it as a part of their school improvement plan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when things become really serious, is when you're actually measured on it. You've got a target and you're measured on it. And that's really important. And just mentioning multi-academy trusts, they now have to start reporting every year in their end of year report. It's called the Streamlined Energy and Carbon Report. And you have to report on the energy and carbon, and that includes transport in every school in the trust. And you don't have to be very big to have to report this. And so you have to also report what you're doing about it and what your action plan is and how you're progressing against it. So trusts and academies are feeling the pressure from the government already in making changes. So that's what's in the school for it, in that it's going to be, apart from our exam results, this is going to be on the table now, and it's going to be phased in, I'm quite sure. And it may come in via you councils, through Leicester and all the other councils, in doing exactly the same. But soon there will be targets within schools, I'm sure, to reduce carbon.
I'll send you some info about that, Steve, because that'll be a question when the accounts come out for the trust in January. There will be a statement in there around the carbon footprint, and it gives you a ratio. Usually it's aimed at, I think, amount of carbon per pupil in the trust. So you'll be able to compare that with other trusts to see how good or bad the trust is. So Amy and I've been working, Amy mainly has been working on a lot of reports that we've been writing for academies. So it's something that you'll be able to see in that report.
Yeah, very quick. We tried to persuade the head of energy at DFE not to do that, to do it per pupil, because it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It's per metre squared. That's what display energy certificates are based on. And it's statistically significant, but it's not per pupil, because you heat a school. You don't heat per pupil. Mm-hmm. So I would also work out the data, if I were you, on per metre squared in all your schools and compare that way.
Yeah, that's what we're doing in ours as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I was going to jump in. Yeah. Can I just hand over to Faith? I know Faith's been waiting a while.
I was just going to ask, if I was to propose this in my school, which is a city school, but it's part of an academy trust based, like mainly in the county, would that be still supportable by the council? Or...
Yeah. Which school do you go to, Faith?
Johnny North.
Yeah. So I'm working with one of the business managers there on this kind of stuff. So yeah, if you sort of mention that's something you're interested in doing, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm going to have to scuttle off because I've got another meeting that starts in 5 minutes. But I'm not sure what I'm doing today. Other people are very welcome to hang on. I'm sure sort of Amy and Mark will be